Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 20th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see Washington, Oregon, here's British Columbia. Look at our upper level low right off the coastline as we speak. Some nice moderate rain across some of western Washington, especially this morning, and woke up to that nice sound of rainfall. Can't complain about that. But this is going to bring a chance of some thunderstorm activity today as this kicks off across the region. And then we get this bad boy up here across the Gulf of Alaska. Some of southeast Alaska be diving down the coastline. It's going to set up shop again right off our coastline here, and then probably swing through Oregon. We're taking a look at some of those details as we go through the video today. There's going to be thunderstorm potential with that, as well as some widespread precipitation here across the region. So taking a look a little bit closer, I want to show you what happened this morning. If you look really closely there, we had a thunderstorm out over the Pacific Ocean just off the Washington coast right there. What is that, about 6:20? And then another one kicked off right there near the Washington coast yet again. So as this kicks across the region, there is thunderstorm potential again today. It should not be as dynamic as what we got on Saturday and Sunday, however. And then you can see this is where we are right now. And if I back that up and play it through, you can kind of see that upper level low going towards the Washington coast, and this will be tracking across the area as we go through the day today. Taking a look at the storm that we had on Saturday, look at this, over 6,600 lightning strikes. Look at how close Washington versus Oregon was there as far as lightning strikes. 3,300 and 3,300 in both states. Oregon just narrowly edging out Washington there, but you can see the path of these individual storms kind of embedded in this southeasterly flow, and cut into eastern Washington a bit here as well, and some of eastern Oregon here. And look at as it came across the Oregon Cascades and north and the east slopes of the Oregon Cascades across some of the gorge there, really just packing a punch, as well as across some of western Washington, southwest Washington. So pretty impressive day there, but it's kind of nice to look at how many lightning strikes we actually did get. Now, taking a look at today, you can see that SPC has that risk for thunderstorm activity just kind of clipping northwest Oregon there, and it includes Seattle and Spokane and just north of Pendleton today. Tomorrow, they've kind of backed off here as our trough is dropping on the coastline. And then for day 3, they've reintroduced it here. And we'll be taking a look at that threat here in a moment. This is looking at right now. In fact, let me update this to make sure we have the most recent data here. This is the 15Z. It is hot off the presses. It did call for a little bit of lightning potential with that activity. It was moving across this morning, but again, I didn't see any lightning strikes there. And then you can see as we go through this afternoon, you can see some of these storms trying to move across the area. Could have a lightning strike or two here, but again, not as dynamic as Saturday or Sunday. Then you see that traversing across some of northeast Washington, and maybe a lightning strike there across southeast Washington, the Blue Mountains. Looking at SeaTac yesterday, 77. That's exactly the average high temperature for this time of year. And the overnight low was just 1 degree off there. But we have been above average so far this month. But we are going to remain below average a bit here for the next few days. Then we have a chance of warming up here at the end of the month. So I'll show you that data here in a moment as well. This is the average temperature as far as all the way through August 19th. And you can see, places like the Puget Sound, a lot of it's been 2 to 4 degrees above normal, and August is already warm. So it's been a pretty warm month here across the Pacific Northwest. The only exception there is some of the west slopes of the Cascades of Oregon. And this precipitation, as you can imagine, we got some pretty big hit and miss precipitation totals there, but you can see the swath of activity that came up on the day Saturday. It really dropped some nice precipitation amounts, but you can see other areas of eastern Washington, Oregon have been well below average, and kind of that hit and miss thing going on across western Washington, western Oregon as well. Some of the coastal areas not doing too hot. But now taking a look at what's going on here. This is Washington here. You can see the Hawaiian Islands all the way to the bottom left, and this is our upper level low as we speak. This is last night's European model run. We're looking at 18,000 feet. Here it goes traversing across the region as we go today, and then you can see our next polar lobe dropping down the coastline here and setting up shop right there on the Oregon coast. And you can see that kind of spinning, and then it starts to kick inland here as we go towards the end of the week and next weekend here. So this is hanging out for a bit. This has a chance to bring some decent precipitation amounts. We're going to go over that here in a moment. Looking at the 500 millibar temperatures, you can see this upper level low today, and then you see our polar lobe dropping down out of the northwest, setting up shop off the coastline here, and that goes out to about Thursday afternoon. Look at that slug of cold air. Now this is looking at the northern hemisphere. There's the Hawaiian Islands. You can see Japan is over here. here, there's Greenland, and there's Washington and Oregon right here. So that's our little upper level low, but you can clearly see our next polar lobe here, this blue octopus roaming across the northern hemisphere. This will get stronger, of course, as we go to the fall and the winter months as more cold air starts to build across the northern hemisphere here, and where this cold air meets that subtropical air that's known as the mid-latitudes, and that's why we call mid-latitude cyclones, because that's where a lot of storms will form. Now taking a look, you can see that low kind of pinwheeling down the coastline here, then kicking inland as we go on in towards the end of the week coming up here. So anyway, I know that you guys love taking a look at here the circulation of the planet. I'm running backwards here. Now we're going to run forwards for a bit, and you can kind of see that upper level low dropping off our coastline there and just spinning around, and it's going to bring us some nice precipitation for some areas across the Pacific Northwest. Taking a look at a little bit closer, same map here, just so you can get a little bit more detail. There's Alaska and Washington is here, and you can see again that upper level low dropping off the coastline there. Kind of nice looking. And then you can see it kick inland slowly. But then after that, we start to build some ridging, maybe, at least what the models are pointing at here coming up. So we may end the month of August fairly warm. Taking a look at the K index here, I kind of want to show you what's coming up. But we do destabilize a bit as we go through the day today. You can see those numbers bump up a little bit here. And then a little bit of a break tomorrow as the next trough is dropping down the coastline. Then you can see as we go through Thursday, we do destabilize somewhat here across the Cascades, some western Washington. It could get a thunderstorm there. But you see as we go through Friday morning, kind of see that negative tilt here from southeast to northwest with some instability around as we go through Friday. So again, this is kind of we're going to have to continue to break this down day by day. But right now it's favoring some areas of southwest Washington and portions of Oregon here. And it could be spreading thunderstorm activity back up with it. But it should not be quite as dynamic a system as what hit us on Saturday and Sunday. Now, taking a look at the lightning flash density potential, this is again for today on the European model. There's this afternoon. We scroll through tomorrow, a little bit of a break here, but that upper level low starting to now drop into the area. Go through Thursday, we start to destabilize things a little bit more. And then Friday, you can see the European's been showing this early Friday morning signal, perhaps reaching back towards eastern Washington as we get some of that southeast flow aloft. And that would be Friday afternoon here as we start to destabilize things across the entire region a bit more. Now, looking at total precipitation in inches on the European, and again, you can see that would be for today. Our trough drops down, some nice precipitation amounts over the next few days for Vancouver Island, western BC, Olympic Peninsula, and some of the Cascades of Oregon, southwest Washington showing up pretty nicely here as we go through next weekend, again with that upper level low right off the coastline here. And you can see some of these totals would be up over an inch, maybe even up higher across some of the higher terrain in some local areas here. So nice rainmaker incoming, if nothing else. Now, what I've grabbed here is the European ensemble member, the ensemble members. This is the 90th percentile here. So this is likely the worst case scenario or best case scenario, depending on how you view precipitation amounts. But this is likely the most that we'd be looking at as this upper level low drops through as we go through this upcoming weekend. But look at some of these totals again. So the European ensemble is kind of calling for the high end for Seattle up over an inch potentially. Some of the Cascades, Oregon, Washington getting some really nice amounts. And some areas could get some into the lower elevations for eastern Washington and Oregon as well. And then you pick that back up again across the Idaho Panhandle and up into British Columbia. But on the flip side, I got to show you the 10th percentile as well. So this is probably on the lower side of precipitation potential as we go on in through Sunday night. And you see much lesser amounts, but still pretty decent precipitation amounts showing up here for the month of August for the Cascades of Oregon, Washington, some of the Olympic Mountains, southwest Washington. You guys get the picture. And if we look at the GFS now, what we were looking at there was the European. So let's look at the GFS. This is a running total of 12-hour precipitation. Let me back that up. And this would be for today. And you can see that upper level low swinging through. Our next polar lobe drops down off the coastline here. And then you can almost see it take on that negative tilt here back across the region, spinning some of that precipitation. Could be kind of heavy at times for some of northwest Oregon, southwest Washington. And then this upper level moves across the region. You can see it spreading precipitation back up across the area. Look at that 12-hour totals up over a half an inch for Seattle and some decent amounts across the Cascades as this treks across Idaho, Montana, and then eventually across some of the Rocky Mountains there. And then we do some ridge building. Now, taking a look at a little bit of the extended forecast. This is the 12Z GFS. It's hot off the presses. Let me update that. Put that into motion. There's our upper level low. Here goes our next polar lobe dropping down the coastline. Negative tilt comes back across the region here, and that's when we'd have some thunderstorm potential across the area. or at least maybe a little enhanced risk of it. But again, not as unstable as last round. That low moves through here, and then you can kind of see the ridging try to develop here as we scroll off. I mean, I have to do this manually. But there is another trough kind of swinging through in the 12Z. So it's not a guarantee that we're going to go into big ridging here across Pacific Northwest necessarily, but you can see it out of the Pacific Ocean. So this is going to be close. We'll just continue to watch that day by day. No point in getting too caught up in that just yet. If we look at the GFS on the left versus the GFS on the right, I want to kind of show you the differences here as well. So let's just go ahead and do this. I'm going to compare this morning's with last night's. And again, there's Washington and Oregon here, upper level low. Our next polar lobe drops down. Pretty good model agreement on that, of course, in the short term. And then we start to build this ridge. And you can see the ridge a little bit more substantial on last night's run. So it has backed off a little bit. You can kind of still see some of these lower heights across British Columbia versus the stronger ridging that was apparent on last night's runs here. We have some stuff to work out as we look on into the extended. But looking at today, you can see 73 for Seattle. You can see maybe some upper 70s here for the Willamette Valley. And then we go to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You notice these temperatures pretty suppressed here as we go towards the weekend. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then we potentially start building the temperatures back up again Thursday, Friday, towards the end of the month here, depending again on just how much ridging we get. Here's the GFS. You can see, again, potential ridging coming there. We warm things up, but these temperatures are below average for the month of August here, and that goes through this upcoming weekend. Now, taking a look at the temperature anomaly, this kind of paints a nice picture for the region as well. This is the European last night's run, and you can see below normal temperatures here as we go on into the next few days. You can see where that upper level low is going to be centered as it moves across the region right there. So you can see some of the intermountain western portions of Nevada, Oregon, Idaho, and even Washington kind of well below average here as we go on into the upcoming weekend. But then that's going to give away probably to some warmer conditions. So this rainfall could really be beneficial coming up here, especially in the month of August, because we have moderate, we have severe, and even some extreme drought across portions of Washington, Montana, some exceptional drought out there also. So this could really be very beneficial precipitation coming across the area. So looking for that to improve on some of our drought conditions across the region. So thumbs up for that. Here's the 6 to 10 day, maybe some above average returning at the very end of the period there, and then we go 6 to 10 day precipitation, 8 to 14 day, end of August through early September, looking at above average signal here across a lot of the west coast, and precipitation, take that with a grain of salt there. But yeah, watch out, eyes on the sky today. You know, you might hear a crackle of thunder out there or two across the area. I may try to position myself for one of those lightning strikes if I see one of those showers develop and start to move my way, but who knows? No guarantee. It's not a high-end storm chase day or anything. But yeah, there goes our next weather maker there up across southern Alaska. Southeast Alaska will be dropping down. That's going to be with us for a few days, probably all the way on into the upcoming weekend also. And there is some thunderstorm potential here, but not, again, as a dynamic system as what we just went through. But anyway, we'll continue to do this all again tomorrow. We'll break everything down. We'll take a look at what the weather models have to say coming up here. And, I hope you guys are having a good day. Otherwise, click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.